and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and welcome to this video update with me, which is going to be a strong, intense topic for all of us. I wish to talk about conscious engaging with the energy life force, because at this time, the planetary life force is experiencing a strong increase. As you can see, I'm very well dressed. It's very windy, so if at times this video is not going to be well and the sound effects, please do forgive me. I'm going to do my best. The thing is that just recently I've noticed and I've read about the air from the North Pole coming in. And when this happens, there's intense cold and lots of polar winds coming. Here, of course, it's not as intense as probably some of the more Nordic countries, but as I've been walking towards my hill today, I've received additional guidance to the topic that I wanted to share with you, because it is an intense time for all of us. And I've asked my community on Instagram if any one of them really wants me to speak about this topic. And people were well pleased, and everybody said, yes, please. We do want more of that. So it's kind of cool to engage all of you interested in what I have to share. It gives me much feedback, and it gives me this validation of what I'm about to share as well. So a lot of you might experience this. I'm going to share about this from the perspective of a creation pillar, which is my mission. So from the creation principles perspective, and on a more simple note, so that I can, create this. For some people, this is a language barrier, and sometimes there's these concepts they don't yet understand, so that I can also share about this in a simple manner. Okay, so this additional vision that I received was actually why, because I woke up with this intense surge yesterday and today in continuation. And when this happens, I know that the planet is going through a new upsurge of light. But when these polar winds came, I started to think about that there's a process within that's more deeply can be more deeply understood by us if we engage with it. So what is the North Pole? As you know, we have entrance and exit points on the North and South Pole of the planet. These are entry points into the inner, the hollow earth, or the crystalline core of the Gaia, whatever you might perceive it and call it. It depends on which reality and which realm you're tuning into. But this is the essence of everything that comes through the inner sun, and the sun as that gateway, that portal into the whole of the solar system, all of the information encoded there, and the realms beyond. So look at my solstice update video, which talks about the solstice points as from the creation perspective. Not a lot of you have seen that video yet, but please do check that out, because it is so crucially connected with this, what I'm about to share today. So when the North Poles are engaged, that means if you imagine Earth, it has its toroidal field, right? So when the energy goes, it goes in and out, and it flows. And you, if you're connected very much with your body, if your body was activated during the awakening of your light body merging with your physical essence, you will feel these things more deeply. For me, as a creation pillar, and there's only certain creation pillar beings on this planet, always we're working with engaging the life force of certain creation points on the planet, we will feel this very intensely. So when I felt this shift, it was intense. And yesterday I had my run. I started engaging my life force more after an intense healing period for myself during these holidays for about 2 weeks, I would say. For many of you, it's been ongoing. And if I look at it from the broader perspective, it's been the last 2 months, especially November and December. But this is also connected with this, we have this T-square, with Pluto, and this energy also activates us on this level, because a lot of the times this transmutation we're going through might not be as pleasant, but it's a part of this inner life force that we're using to become beings of creation once again. So what I'm going to share is also dealing with the fact that this is the new year, and each new year we have to consciously engage with what we're what we're meant to create, feeling into, okay, what's the next? And you know, it's almost like I got this vision that after you've had sickness or illness or disease for a while, you know, you might get the symptoms done with, but your body is a bit weaker. And what you do afterwards, you know, sometimes people have physical therapy after a long surgery or a long process of the recovery. And this, in a way, feels like that, but we don't have to be physically sick or ill or diseased in that way, but we still have to engage our life force consciously. Why? Is because so much of our energy at this point, as I was shown, was used to do the whole light physical body merge, the spirit body fusion that was undergoing in the background for many of us. And we felt tired sometimes for reasons we didn't always understand, but our bodies went through a lot. And watch my latest Ascension update for the month of January and this whole year ahead for further specification on that. But in this video, I wish to share a deeper, enhanced knowledge and epiphanies for all of us, what we can do to more consciously engage the life force, because we need it for this new creation cycle. A lot of you might feel tired or depleted, or you were sick in this period. When I say sick, you know, it was a detox going on for a lot of us. We had either the cold, the sniffles, the flu, it doesn't matter, the coughing, disease, many things were coming up for many people, you know, as well. Then my mother got very sick during this time for about 2 weeks. And the thing is that when I was running yesterday, I asked myself, okay, what does the person actually do to engage this life force? And, you know, to engage this energy flowing once again, so that they can have that strength and vitality that we need in these beautiful human bodies. And that understanding that comes is that the flesh is basically so important. It is very important. So I was shown a very simple answer, which I'm going to share at the end. But I want to say that this again deals with engaging the life force, that is the orgasmic cultivation. I was given the words the orgasmic rebirthing. And just as well as the planet goes through this upsurge of light, we might feel these things happening within our own selves. And what I've had as a confirmation for what I received yesterday during my run was I was awoken in the middle of the night by a strong dream orgasm. I call them that way. But what happens is the life force that increases of this shifting planetary being, those of us who are deeply connected with it, we will feel it in our bodies. And this was probably one of the most intensest ones I had. It was so intense, but this is an energy orgasm, if I can call it like this. It's almost like such a strong pull, but it's so ecstatic, it's so orgasmic, it's so pleasant, but it's very intense. And then allowing it to permeate through the body. And when you wake up, you feel everything just as much as it was a physical experience. So it's energetic, it's tantric, and yet it is also felt in the physical. And that's the real engaging of that. So I wanted to do this exercise that I received yesterday for the engaging of this life force. And I didn't, because I kept myself so busy, and I was finally feeling the flow and going dancing again, creating my dancing routines, because I've noticed that every time I'm not dancing, it's like my body is engaged in this integrating of the energy. And at that time, I can't dance because so much of my life force is used for this physical body merge with the new wave of our light beingness, I will call it like that. So at times, this uses so much of the energy that you can't do other things that you would normally want to do. You're not that vital. You're not that, I would say, lively and fiery. But now I felt such a huge fire, such a huge seed, and I even did some card readings, and there was this presence of this divine, masculine, raw, fire, sacred sexual energy. And if you imagine the union of the sacred sexuality as in yin and yang, the masculine is that fire, that seed, you know, the thrusting energy moving forward. It also begins in our astrological year as the Aries energy. You know, it activates everything. It reawakens and rebirths the whole nature so that it can start its new cycle. But the feminine is that which always holds. It always holds that sacred space. Is that eternal presence. Is that womb. It's the nurturance, and that sacred fire can travel through it if that is not also nurtured and taken into consideration and attended. You know, tended to. So I wanted to say that I'm going to share a few things about this process. And then the second part, because it's very cold here, I'm going to share this as a short exercise, light activation for us, so we can do this together. But please know there's also a spiritualization of the life force, free light activation on my SoundCloud profile. You can also see it on the main homepage of my Serapina Light. Everything is shared there as well, because it's my main page. It's like the portal to everything I have to share. But again, I want to say that this month, this January month, began so strongly. Wow, you can't hear it, or you do, but the winds are so intense. So as I was seeing this, I was shown how the energy travels right through the poles, and when the air of these the pole, reaches and it travels downward, that it's like toroidal field, right? The energy flows like this. And I got this as a reaffirmation of what's really taking place at this time, and you might feel it in your own way. And when I was awoken today by this strong orgasmic burst, I knew this is what's happening, planetary and for us and our physical beings. But right now, I want to dedicate a few words to the things that are also considered as a part of this journey. They're very important. The first thing is, of course, the journey of sacred reunion, the masculine, feminine forces of creation in polarized balance, and we're all doing that. So what I'm sharing is a complete part of this. It's not separate, because the whole nature of sexuality on its primest level is the source of all life that is being created. When we look at it from the most, when I say orgasmic orgasm, some people might still go like, why is she saying this, right? Or people still hold a lot of dogma here, and shyness, or being taken aback when someone says something like this. But it's not not so black and white. It depends on which level you're tuning into this. So when I say orgasmic or orgasmic burst, it's very more energetic, and I talk about the tantric levels that naturally arise within us. It can also be a physical stimulation, but it's not everything I talk about here. This is a very dense level of sexuality. It's not wrong. It's just when I talk about these things, I talk about this higher sexuality, which is our primal creation force flowing through all of us. And the more that we go into this process of physical ascension, the more we will feel this. And I have this mastery course. It's called Sacred Sexuality, and this tantric path. I think it's the 5th one. I don't know, but you can find it on my page under mastery courses, and it talks about how you claim and feel your sacred sexuality, how you can start feeling your life force. But you can also take the soul embodiment or the cosmic beloved. These are all very important courses for this. If you resonate with what I'm sharing and you feel this is how I deliver it, because it takes the full responsibility back to you. It's not just happening. An ascension is not just a shower of light that, droplets of it coming down. It's like raining on us. Yeah, in a way, but it's not everything. We have to engage with it consciously. So when we're now starting this new creation cycle, we're going to be invited to do this more actively. So if in the past a lot of energy was used to restore the physical body, there was lots of things that, the body kind of locks them in, like these codes, and it has a cellular memory. And when you do the healing or any kind of things that are trigger up that for you, or you get fired up, these things are beginning to get unlocked. So if you have ascension symptoms, these are basically the things that were locked, and now your body's catching up to redo and refine them. There's also why we have these retrogrades from the celestial movements, because our bodies really do need their own downtime. They need to process this. And when we unlock these codes, we're going to have to engage with our body more. So the body has a very mystical nature. And I've been writing here in my booklet that each body is so unique and it's very adaptable in the same way. Just yesterday, again, I went to my massage therapist. I went to this acupuncture person, and it didn't work out for me because they were so technical and mechanical. And I went back to my massage therapist and I explained my experience to her, and she's so awesome. She said, of course, the body's not that solid, and it's not all okay. It's a mechanical or it's a physical root of what's happening. And I totally agree. That's why I resonate with her and her methods. And we talked about how basically body's so adaptable. It's not so fixed, like, okay, I have this or I have this injury. This is how it is. Because if you remember the ancient healers, even examples of Joshua, how he healed with this intense focus, like a laser beam focus that got the person to heal. But it wasn't because he healed it, but he brought that sacred space that this is possible, because we are so alchemists. We are we are the force. Everything can flow if we wanted to. But basically, we have to know and trust, and we have to allow our bodies. So healing occurs at the greatest depth through soul alchemy, through allowance. So from a master soul perspective, healing is a mystical experience. It cannot be put in these terms of black and white. And the same goes for the flow of our life force. It's a mystical feeling. And when we start engaging with it more consciously, we're going to become more conscious. How it is, when we're suppressing it, where is it going? Is it going more in healing? Is it going to create something? Is it going to relationships? We're going to feel it. And I teach this in all of my courses, how you can become a master of your life force. So from this master soul perspective, we know that the body can heal anything and any time in its own natural sovereign authority. So we have to allow, and I already gave you my healing experience, how when you feel something is for you or not, you will take the sovereignty and make a call what serves you. So what Spirit shared with me recently, that after every single energy withdrawal, or when your energy perhaps goes more into the creating of your physical maintenance of your body, or it could be in a long-term sickness, illness, energy input into soul alchemy and physical spirit body merge, the body vibration there can lower for a while, which is why sometimes the immune system, which is a part of it, also will lower for a while. And this is when we get more prone to short-term illnesses or flus, and so because our energy in a way is depleted for that. So the impact also that is felt is in the surroundings. We have this environment that's not pure. I live in the Alps, but we get sprayed, with these chemicals when they're spraying with chemtrails and all of that stuff, and poisoning the soil and everything just as well as anywhere else. There's less people living here. The mountains, serene environment, it's more pristine and pure, but yet it's still not completely pure, because this planet on this densest level has become so toxic. So the impact in the sky as they're spraying us, it goes in our systems. We're all receiving that. And what I received is that these chemicals do affect our bodies. And if our vibration, due to poor lifestyle and poor awareness, and we're not maintaining ourselves, will become lowered, and it causes malfunctioning of the body. And some people get sick from this. And there's even examples and reports of people who do die, and we don't know why, but a lot of these cases are, and they're not strong in their body. So these things that are that these forces are using to kind of, it's almost like spraying us like these bugs, it's like, okay, we see who's going to survive, almost like survival of the fittest. But it is true, it's happening. It sounds cruel, but in a way it propels us towards creating the kind of bodies that will be firm and solid. And even if we have these symptoms, we're going to become adaptable. It's almost like becoming adaptable to the viruses. We're becoming our own antibiotics, and it's all through life force. So we have to strengthen our physical bodies, because much is happening now on our planet with all this toxicity and the environmental pollution. There's lots of toxicity happening, and no one is excluded, because everything is one. The atmosphere, everything is connected. So even me sitting here in the Alps, and there's still cars here and everything. So you can never be completely withdrawn from it. And, sometimes people who are very much blindfolded by this, or they say, oh, I am the light, nothing can affect me. Well, of course, and your eternal soul nature. But in the physical way, you do have to take care of yourself, ground yourself, and become aware of these things. And if you're going to be too stressful as well in how you live, that's going to affect that the same way, not just the external pollution. So there's no more of this perfect, pure, isolated environment for us. And this deals with the topic I'm sharing as well. It is important, because we have to become our own maintenance system, the food of our own nourishment. And we do that through conscious engaging of the life force. Remember me last year, the whole year I've talked about life force and soul embodiment. And this year, this repair and restructuring, we're gonna have to, in a way, it's gonna be complete, but we're gonna have to rise what I was seeing, the life force again, so that we can come to this new level of our body merge. So it's almost like all these things that are happening on the outside is as if our physical ascension wasn't challenging enough, right, for our physical bodies. And then we have these things, but in a way we can't influence that. The only thing we can influence is the knowledge and the awareness we have. It's ancient. It's always been there. beings like myself who know the tantric laws, and we are, in a way, I call myself the tantrika many times because this is just very self-obvious to me, and that's my gift to share this with you, that it's not just all in the light in the head, but you have to physically become a part of this physical ascension. You have to engage yourself. I've shared the Beloved video last summer. It's about the Beloved Tantric path. I shared some yogic practices, and I've talked about this, how you can engage it. That's also one source you can look into if you're not taking the courses. So the guidance here is that it's time to prepare and grow strong in our energy, the body, mind, and spirit as one unit on all levels. And those on high frequencies that are coming, right? We're creating constantly this flow because we have entered already the photonic belt, and it's just going to continue to increase. So besides this toxicity that is a part of this dense realm, there's also this higher node of energy coming through. So we have to become adaptable on all ways, and in both ways. The denser and the higher is meeting, and we're those merging meeting points. So those of us who are in these high frequencies will be able to survive this toxicity, not just survive, but thrive in it as well. Something about the food intake as well, because we have to know when and what is good for us to eat. It's not so black and white. I always share this with you, of course, light foods and plant-based diet, of course, that's most natural. But some people, they feel better if they just drink fluids, or just things that are just as fluids coming in their bodies. And for them it might work, for someone else it might not. So we have to realize that sometimes, perhaps, especially when these cosmic waves come in, I can't eat. It's like, ugh, I can't eat dense foods. And sometimes I do, and I love it because I need that integration. So it's best to know when something is good for us to eat, or something perhaps that we need to eat less of in that moment. Because if we intake food in the times that our body's already processing a lot, food will become like a poison to us. So, there's a lot of teachings that say food is like poison or medicine, and it's true. And we have to become attuned to our life force that tells us which energy we're moving through at this time. And when you listen to your body, it's gonna return you everything you need. It's gonna return you all the abundance and well-being and prosperity, and because you will know how to take care of it. Sometimes even that which we call it's organic, it has less toxins or whatever, it's not going to be fully pure anymore because the environment is not. And one of the examples in Dolores Cannon books was this being that said, you've already polluted so much that there's nothing pure anymore. It even goes in the water and everywhere. So sometimes eating less will mean less toxicity input in our body, which will be better for us. Some people say, well, eating so little, you're going to get sick. But not necessarily. It's not so black and white. You have to feel into it. As well as the stress hormones that are being fed, that we're creating because we're feeding ourselves these negative energies. Stress lowers the frequency as well. And that means that we can eat well and organic and beautiful. But if we're eating with that resistance, for example, we can eat healthily. But if we're too cautious in how and when we eat it, again, we're like conditioning ourselves, and that's stressful. And people who are counting the calories and all of that, it's very stressful. So it's not necessarily healthy from a holistic body, mind, spirit perspective. So the body has to then process that stress, and the stress hormones, again, it creates a lot of energy for that. And again, it's like a loop, it's a cycle ongoing. And we are in need to keep our life force for complete energy nourishment, that we're becoming like our own ecosystem in a way, so that your body is self-nourishing, it's self-feeding. I'm going to explain this to you in the second part with the exercise a little better. But that is also toxic. Remember that toxic is not just something physical. It can also be coming from the stress and the level of being too resistant and cautious and worrisome. So we have to approach ourselves holistically. Okay, now the last part I want to share is this orgasmic rebirthing. This is the main thing. This is the main topic of how, because this is about using the power of our tantric, which is not just this random physical orgasm, to heal our bodies and raise that life force energy. Okay, so what does this mean? It's very windy, so I'm going to try to close this. This means that when we understand the whole nature of our own Kundalini and how we make it into the tantric life force that moves through our body when we understand the meridian points, all these things, right? But we have to go to the root as well. And the root is our primal nature of being these ancient beings who know that we're sexual beings. And sexuality at its highest level is creation energy, which means if you know how to increase this creation energy, you're going to become more charismatic. You're going to have lots of vital power. You're going to be feeling very good in your body. When, for example, I don't know how to do certain things, but I am very physically active in terms of being very sporty at times and knowing that I need lots of movement. And this is when I feel best in my body, because I know I'm constantly translating all these energies. And because of that, I'm always attuned to my higher guidance as well. If you're thinking of the higher guidance only as in coming from above, you're missing the point, because your body, even if you receive something, will not be at its highest capacity and its optimum to translate that energy, to put it into conscious embodiment. So just yesterday we had this talk with my massage therapist, and she said to me, because she can feel the energy when we do the energy work, she said, you have not just perfect balance, but also very strong equal masculine and feminine energies. And when you do, when you affect other people, you press on their on their feminine and masculine, so they start evolving it more deeply. But sometimes, and I've had these experiences all my life, people will start also feeling, because of this energy deprivation, or they're not living yet their fullest, highest potential, they will see it in you. And that's why sometimes we say people fall in love with you, but they don't really in that kind of way. They fall in love with their own potential, which perhaps is not yet fully realized, because when it is, you don't fall in love in the same way anymore. You just love. You don't fall in love, but you just love. You are love. And in that way, we understand ourselves more on this basic primal level as creation beings. And she said sometimes people will feel a lack of self-value, and they'll feel this, complex of being less, because that's their own issue, which they start feeling. But it's basically just themselves starting to show themselves, look, you can live on an even higher level. You can engage more in your creative potential, and that creativity always comes from the life force when it's true. So I live this. That's why I'm telling you these things. And when you are about to create anything, whether it's physical abundance, or it's things or relationships or certain essences like feeling romantic or feeling sexual with someone, or whatever it is, when you're created from your life force, it's different, because you realize that it's basically you giving the gift of you to you. So it doesn't matter who or where it comes from you. The person will just serve as that portal through which that energy comes through physically, but it's you who's giving yourself that gift. And that's why I present you with these teachings in my courses, to make you aware that you are the source. You are the prime root of everything and anything, even the relationships you have. So you can't see them, and you won't see them when you engage with your life force consciously anymore as something coming to you. It's coming from you, even if it's another person. But what they have to share with you in that moment and giving as a gift, it's you engaging with your life force and what you want to experience. And that's why I created this free light activation on the spiritualization of our life force and the melting pot with the physical, so that you can feel it more. So when I do start engaging more with the dancing, the tantric yoga, whatever I do, I feel so much more vital. It's like the joy comes out, and it's so natural, and this is how we're supposed to feel. And it's amazing, because I felt this on the New Year's Eve and the New Year's Day, and now, which was January 5th and 6th. So basically the year really started off as I received it, with this big bang. It's very huge. It's very intense, very orgasmic. And I want to show you, I'm going to do a little sketch and an exercise. What does it mean? And how you, because your own sexual life force is the root of all that you're creating, even if you perceive it's coming from the outside. And once you know this, once you know how to raise it, once you know how to observe it and how you can integrate it, you will really become a master of your own experience. So in this way, you understand yourself, like I said, as your own ecosystem. You're like this toroidal field, right? Everything flows. And sometimes you can't feel this flow, its optimum, and it's okay, because at these times the energy travels to certain meridians that need adjustment, and that's okay. And when this is adjusted, you will feel again. You feel a new level, and it rises up again on a higher note. So each time it's higher. It never ends. It's not like, okay, we do the work, it stops, stop living. No, it's a constant. This is a path that is constant. The tantric path, it's like a serpent, like the snake. It's always a constant. It's always in recreation, the recreating of itself in new levels. So when we understand this, we know that the origin is within us. And when we know how to bring all this energy back to us, and I teach this in my soul embodiment course, so to take a look at that, we become a master of our own bodies, of our own experience, of the relationships. Everything is the mirror of us. Okay. The orgasmic energy, we were very much deprived of the knowledge of that. We knew that, but it was hidden for a long time with the suppression of the goddess. But now the goddess is reawakening, it's reemerging, and it's living again as in its true essence and purpose. This means that it's coming back, the sacred tantric path, the tantrika path, the path of the womb, holding that sacred space for that sacred fire, that seed, this immense fire potential, and the merging of both, which I call the sacred Hieros Gamos, the root of all creation force. When we know that our orgasm serves to awaken in the physical, we can use it for such profound healing, right? So when my mom was sick, and when she couldn't heal for so long, and she did everything physical, so when I was running, I was asking myself, okay, Spirit, show me what else can she do, right, to now start off to really bring physical well-being again, so she can become as she is on a higher level. And I'm running, it's like simple. It's like, what is it? Orgasm. Like, what do you mean? I was laughing because I know it to be true. But it's not just like, you have a physical orgasm, okay, it's not that. It's learning how to use the life force that is orgasmic. It's pleasurable. It's the root of the seed that you start to spin. When I have these dream orgasms, they're always about the spin of energy. And it spins so fast that it creates such a pressure point that it just lifts you off, and it's amazing. It's so intense. And when we know how to spin that energy, create it into a physical orgasm, and then send it throughout the whole body, we're actually feeding our body from our own inner prana. So it's not just the prana from the food, from the sun, it's our inner creation. And that's the meaning of this video. This is what the ancients already knew how to do. We are those ancients. I know I have this knowledge. So when we see the results of it, that's amazing, because we know we're not just talking about it, we're not just being in the knowledge, but we're actually bringing it into physical form, and we're witnessing it taking form in manifestations around us, and we know this is it. So the things I talk about, I know I talk about from my own experience as well, not just the knowledge, the wisdom, but it's an actual integration point. So in the second part, I want to share with you a little bit more about this, how you can connect to that inner ecosystem of yours, feel that orgasmic energy, know how to rotate the energy, lift it off, and know how to send it in every part of your body. So we're going to do the activation together. Please bear with me, and that's it for the introductory part of this video. If you feel inspired, please consider taking back or exchanging the energy in mutual reciprocations, how I call it, either feedback or please whatever kind of way you feel called, donations, if you feel that what I share supports your journey of physical ascension and well-being as well, so that it's not just a give and take, but it's a mutual work, mutual path we are engaged with. So yeah, I don't want it to be a one-sided experience, and that's why I asked people in my community to tell me if they want this, and there was a lot of yeses. So I hope this video and this exercise will benefit your journey. I really hope you feel all this joy and tantric bliss, and it's amazing. You just go around the world smiling, and people are smiling and waving at you, and it's like, what is this? And it's amazing. It's how we're supposed to be. And one of the most important things about this as well is that we will become so strong in our vortex that no matter what's going to be happening on the outside, regardless of the confusion or intense duality playing itself out, or natural changes or the weather changes, we're going to be so strong as pillars then nothing will be able to move us. And that's my main goal in my mastery, is to be unmovable, to be unstoppable, to be unbreakable, to be a complete sovereign, but not just a sovereign in my knowledgeable self, but a being of complete physical life force mastery. So that's my aim for a lot of us, for all of us on this path. Stay tuned for the second part, and I love you all so very much. And of course, please, you can support by taking my courses as well. That's one of the ways. I love you all so very much. I'll talk to you soon. Let's see what comes through. So, hey again, and let's try doing this exercise together. It will be kind of like a quick prepping exercise for you to practice alone, to engage your life force and to lift your creative sacred fire, to prepare for new creations, to become the new creation each time. So as you know, each time we rise up a new level. That's the thing. We're not static beings. So if you imagine us being like this overflow of toroidal energy moving in and out, we're basically always feeding ourselves. So whatever we receive from the universal life force, we learn how to embody it, how to transmute it for each new cycle, how to engage each new cycle, and then reverberate it back out. So let's do this quick light exercise, and then you can practice yourself by engaging in, like I've shared with you, this inner blissful orgasmic ecstatic energy and knowing how to send it throughout the whole body. Okay, so let's just take a few deep breaths together. To really relax and to really feel our body. Try to feel your body as very solid, very grounded, and yet also very floaty, very free, very loose. So that you can feel the unison of devoted, committed energy with that free spirit that you are. Because that's what makes our creation really potent. As you're breathing, imagine that there is this flaming fire that starts to burn at the root where you're sitting. This is the base of your spine. With each breath, try to feel that sacred fire, and without breath, try to rise the flames further and further up. Imagine that these flames, as you breathe deeper and deeper, start to rise to the point where they're ready to exit your physical body, and see them floating, creating a ripple effect and floating back in, entering once again the root, your root chakra, the root of your spine, so that you can create first and generate this flow of energy moving in and out, because it's very important that we establish this sacred ecosystem, if I can call it as such, within ourselves, within our bodies, because if there's any fragmented energy or energy leakages, this flow of energy cannot be this constant rippling out and multiplication of it, and then coming back into our source through our root. Whenever we achieve ecstatic bliss, it's important that we learn to not feel it locally, but to feel it throughout the whole body, and that's where most people have challenges. And when we do engage our orgasmic life force this way, basically we're going to become these self-sustaining beings, creator beings, creating through our life force all the riches of the inner and all the riches of the outer meeting together as one. So really imagine this, right? This flow of energy moving in and out, rippling out, coming back to your root. It's important you imagine this light as this golden pulsating flame, the sacred fire. Imagine it purified with the white light. And imagine this white light of complete purity pushing this golden sacred fire up And with your out breath, you're sending it forward. And again. Now imagine that with this movement, what you're also creating is you're generating your angelic essence. So you're like growing wings. And as you do so, your spiritualized life force gets more in the body. And when you're ready, right, when you're going to do this practice for yourself, start contracting your inner pelvic muscles. So I've shared this before in my tantric videos and the beloved yoga and all these videos in the summer of 2016. In breath, really pull the muscle. Imagine like it's really contracting. Hold it as much as you can. And then let it out. And with each out breath, you have to feel like, you're going to start feeling like this circuit waving motion. It has to feel like floating, like you're floating in animated suspension. Suspended animation. I always mix these two up. So anyway, with each breath, you'll go deeper and you're going to feel more of that tantric flow. And whenever you yourself feel that culmination, that climax point, hold it as much as you can. And as you release with the out breath, imagine this white light is still pushing it. It's like pushing it, it's moving it through your entire body. Your arms, your legs. So from the center of the sacred fire, it all expands in all directions. Vertical, horizontal, as above, so below, and all in between. And then you just watch. You just let this happen. You don't control it. You let this sacred fire being pushed, the natural elevated spiritualized life force of this white flame, pushing golden fire. And now with this, imagine that you as your inner ecosystem, you're being fed, you're being nourished. So as you breathe it out, it's like a shower of golden light, right? Like droplets of manna, universal manna that you're able to generate and produce through your orgasmic cultivation. And imagine now you're receiving it back up. Shower of love, gifts of the divine. It's all you. It's all you. It's all through your life force. You can do any kind of movements if you want to extend your hands, or just like this, or just like resting like this in your lap. Your palms really relaxed. And you practice the state of receiving. So you're not just emanating and reverberating outwardly, but you're also, again, open to receiving. Because when you release, you allow it to potentialize, you allow it to spiritualize again on a new level, and let it come back in your ecosystem, in your sacred temple. That sacred alchemy, that is soul fire being alchemized by your consciousness. And simply allow consciousness to do that, because it is a natural rebirthing. I call it orgasmic rebirthing process. Just let it fill you up to the degree you feel really illumined, like the liquid floating light, fully present and yet centered, because the main idea here is to feel centered and yet liquid and free in our movement. Completely grounded in our vortex and yet completely aloof, afloat. So we feel that cosmic bliss, that ecstasy of our divine manna. If you can't really feel it, perhaps I advise you to make a short drawing, like make a drawing of yourself with that inner fire draw the energy. Let spirit guide you to drawing the energy, how it floats. Let yourself be shown this. I've made many of such sketches, but then, then again, it's just about really feeling that, so that we come from that visualization into complete knowing that this is so. Like, you don't have to control it, like, okay, this has to go like this, has to move like this. You're only in that feeling and in the knowing that this is already happening. So at first, every spirit initiate needs a little bit of assistance through conscious engaging and visualization, but then in the end, we have to allow our bigger consciousness to take a step and to simply allow ourselves to receive, to be shown through this knowing, the inner knowingness, because that's when we really start to feel with complete pulsation. We will feel this cosmic pulsating energy moving through us. We will become more tuned to the cycles of earth kundalini rising up, to the earth sacred fire. We will merge our life force with the planetary life force. So I talk about these things in depth in my soul embodiment course on these levels of sacred union, how you can align yourself with that. I also have a self-mastery course about knowing your tantric presence, really claiming your tantra. Again, I need to repeat that if any of you missed that. And I hope you enjoyed this short exercise. Make it your own, make it individualized, because in the end, there's no one who can tell you how this flows through you but you. So if you're having challenges, make a few drawings, try to visualize this force moving through, because especially if we have certain ailments, have conditions, or we have blockages in our body, like let's say you had an injury in a certain part of your body, a lot of the times that part will hold that tension, because the energy won't be able to move as freely through it, because the cellular memory, remember that, it locked certain codes there. So that's why people can't instantly heal when they had these damages, because they're keeping it locked. They haven't yet unlocked that potential. But with this raising of the energy, you can unlock even those things that you feel are the deepest recesses of your body that you can move through or you can't heal. That's how great ancient masters already knew how to heal. So you have to create this constant circulation of the life force through your body, not just from spirit to matter, but also within your physical ecosystem. Then it's like, I don't know how else to call it, but your sacred space, like your bubble of your energy that has many levels and layers. But it's very important that if there's any part that's with this locked codes, it kind of keeps their blockage, so the energy can't freely move. That's where the tension is built. That's where the pain comes from that tension, and that pain tells you that the energy needs to move through freely. So recently I've kind of held two legs together of someone who had an injury, and I kind of held one and the other, and I felt more energy went into the left one, which was damaged. And I said, look, there's a surplus of energy that wants to move, but it can't move through, so that's what the pain is there. You have to work also with visualizing the light starting to circulate and rotate again. We can't just heal like physically. The physical is the last level. We have to do these exercises. We have to start working with the life force, because in other terms, in plain terms, we're not fully engaging our creative potential. We're only seeing ourselves as these physical bodies, like these physical beings, but we're not. So it's time to change that. It's time to become more engaged in that. So it's time to be less passive and waiting something to happen with the universe. We have to claim the universal life force and engage it within our own ecosystems, our own sacred bodies. So try to create that flow in any way you're guided. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, as well as now with my holiday break finally being over in a way, I'm up and running again. So sessions with me, I call them beloved sessions with me, are available again. So check that out in my personal services link, as well as any kind of form of support, and on my Patreon or donations on my page is very welcome. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this, and let me know how this was for you. I always love to hear your feedback, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Come into my world. magical.